Today we talk a little bit about the economical and political aspects of theory of everything, about justice, not only in climate but in social systems and so forth. In previous videos we learned that pi equals to 1 and is used to calculate a balance. For example, if you have 2 points, a line, and then you do a perfect circle. With Pythagorean idea you can split this unit of 1, which is the length between both points, in 2 to create the number a half. So a half plus a half, which is the radio, half diameter, plus half diameter equals to pi, which is 1. So with this we learn that pi is representing the natural language of all nature, so all animals as well as human beings use this building block pi to be the basis for waves, for example. Pi is always relation between two different dimensions or units. So pi is circumference per diameter, as well as shown for the basic concept of space-time. Space time a second per meter, so it is time per space, and you define this to be the basic ingredients, so the start of all 1. And then you have waves, which are always meant to be a relation between two objects. For example, a wave of water is a relation between waves on the water top are between the air and the water, so you can see the inverse of the wave also in the air. And same goes for electromagnetic waves. So animals as well as human beings talk to each other in waves, in sound, in electromagnetic radar, whatever. This is your, even if you use a language, non-verbal language, so if you are in contact with another living organism, you communicate in waves, at least with photons. Also, when you are in contact with things you think that are not living, like a stone, you receive photons from the stone, so you can see the stone and get a picture of the stone. So this is a kind of communication. What happened to human beings 3, 4, 5,000 years ago? We don't know exactly, but today we speak with p to be a number which is not ending, where you can't forecast exactly what next digit will be, so you can calculate all your lifetime. It seems like not ending, and there's no special idea in this number one can see. So we call it irrational, transcendental, whatever. In previous videos I showed that this is wrong, and the consequences for social systems. If you, for example, take the smallest society of 2 people, which is person A and person B, and then they try to find a language to balance equality between both. So if they talk on P to be 1, we find that he is a half and he is a half in ideal case. If you have So this represents then equality. Both are the same words, or have the same value or power. You can use whatever you like to, if you like to build a justified distribution of money, you can say he deserves half of the money and he's half of the money. So it's the basic measurement system based on pi is 1. And if you have pi like these transcendental ill-defined mathematics, it's impossible to calculate justice or equality because he claims to have a right or is more intelligent or whatever. If you say pi is 3 point whatever to 12 digits, and he said no, I'm better off, I can do it to 13 digits, and he claims no, he's now better on and should be on top because he's at 100 digits, whatever. So they will never find peace, those two persons. And if you expand that to 3 persons, do it like that, 1, 2, 3. We will find that there will be an order, always an order. You can mix it up, whatever, but with the war game pi is 3.14. Then there will be this. Both of them will have fight about who is second and who is third, and also both of them have interest to get to the top, to be more worse as number 1. So this is fight between the second and the third, as well as the first and the second and the first and the third. And with pi is 1, because you have fight here, fight there, misconception there in communication, and with pi 1 you can easily put a center on which you distribute equality between those 3 persons. So no one is on top, but they are all at the same equal distance from the center, from the top. Let's say this is the top, and with pi is 1 you can calculate a circle. I call it the circle. We can call it the circle of peace. So if there are find them in equal power and a language that is able to make a distribution where everyone can feel balanced. So you have the same distance, everyone. And this is the pyramid scheme, the war game. To expand this war game, what has happened now and what lead to the situation we have now with over the last 3,000 years, you can imagine in general the on top so we have this well-known pyramid of war, and we think now that we start with we go on with the struggle with the war game between 3 persons. You have war here and war there, and this goes down to all is valid for all areas in this pyramid. So there's always someone, he says, well, I'm better off than those below me because I'm have more power, more money, more properties, more social power, whatever. So he's trying to keep his position, so he's fighting down, and he's trying, so this is a forcing, and he's trying to come up in this pyramid. So this is the same situation like here and there and whatever, and to do so, people, if you see this as persons, people try to make to cooperate. So you have this person, and this person, agree to be a cooperative circle, but this circle is within the pyramid, so still he's need to forced to come to come up, and you must fight down and make war because those are trying to come up. So even if wherever you are, you have this war game in this pyramid. And the funny thing is, there is no conspiracy theory, because also this, if you have this three people, or this the people on top, let's say the 1,000 richest men in the world, or whatever, they need to surveil each other because no one knows who is in top. You cannot calculate. You must calculate social influence or the money worth, or you must have information about. You must have all information, so no one knows if he don't knows if he's already on top or if he's there. So everyone is trying to figure out where he is to find a position. And as soon as you know on top, you see, well, there is so much poverty below there, and there are people dying from hunger, whatever. So they can have the idea, like the like the idea of the giving pledge, whatever, to do charity, to give money or power back to the lowest people. But then there's always the lowest people just have the possibility to fight to go up. So if you give them, if you enable them, they might go a few positions up. But then others go down, and so you just have you keep the system running in circles, because there's always this friction and this war game. You cannot end that. So this can go on for 7,000-10,000 years, I don't know. And you can't escape that system because you can't calculate who's on top. Now you can have the idea, we make a state of surveillance. So we put an eye on top to check every single person, to be able to calculate exactly what the power and equality of each person. So the idea to have a supercomputer or automated intelligence, where every person, everything in this pyramid, in this Ponzi scheme, is connected to. So the computer on top can give information and put the people where where the algorithms say they must be. So calculate the value, the worth of the contribution to the community. And the idea then would be that you have here a minimum income or a minimum health care, a minimum whatever. But you think this is nature, this is a concept of competition. But then theory of this all is based on the language mistake which invented war is inequality. So you have introduced a few thousand years ago that you use a language of war, and you can't find this circle of peace. So now how to do a transformation on society? It is possible, and you have this pyramid of war, and then you can introduce, this is the war game, the global society. And then you introduce theory of everything. The Pythagorean society is built on pi is 1. So you have the state of science, which is also, you can call it state of science, and science is mathematics and physics combined, and it's also, you can call it a state of God to fit also to the terrorist, and you can call it state of for the Friday for Futures people, state of nature, or it's all the same. It's a circle of peace. So you can now attract people from this global Ponzi scheme, and of course the most in the bottom of the pyramid, they have nothing to lose, so you can either attract them or start a test, whatever. So you take a certain amount of people and build a community. You can call it circle of peace. So this is also the science is also at the same time the government. So it's no person. It's like the commandments from nature, whatever the laws of nature. Pi is 1. So whenever someone feels injustice, one can ask for calculation or do a calculation and build equality. So you can also measure the wealth or whatever distribution, and no one is on top because there is no person in the center, and everyone, every participant in this community of science is of equal worth. So it's an equal distance from the center, and an equal distance between each social individuum. The new word is social distancing. I don't know. So one can do so, and then you can, of course, not the single individual is doing economy with the old world. Let's say this is a new world. And the funny thing about the new world is you can do economy, so you can have build economy between the new and the old, so goods can be exchanged, but not the for example, you can say here it is not allowed to use cell phones, not allowed to use computer, there's no digital whatever, but the digital world of this is connected to the center here. So the individual must go over the connection to the center to get into contact with this. So this is somehow protection. And now if those people are gone to this, then of course there's a new distribution, and others can decide also to go into this, so to make this even bigger. Or you can use this all over the world. For example, this can be one circle in Europe, or one circle in South Africa, or one circle in Australia, or one circle in Sweden, and you can then have one circle in for example in Switzerland. So whatever it is allowed, and those can connect. So you can have circles all over the world. We're calculating social system with pi is 1, and they can connect and make smart contracts, whatever. So you can have a steady and smooth and safe growth, so there is no need to take over world leadership or global government. It is a concept, a biological concept of healthy growth. So and this pyramid gets smaller and smaller with that, as more as those communities would grow, for example. And someday, if this is grown to the end, there might be only 10 people left in the top of the pyramid, and then they will see, okay, it doesn't make sense, so maybe they have all the money in the world, but these circles don't operate, these communities don't operate with the fiat money system, so they don't operate with the money system we know today, not with the economy of today, but those societies work on healthiness in mind, healthiness in body, and happiness. So there is value not measured in real estate or in power or in whatever, but in equality and harmony. One have to show this in detail. I don't make that today. So in the end, today the basic mistake, I showed this in Theory of Everything, is a concept of energy. So today we have the idea from Planck and Einstein that the energy of a photon should be the Planck's constant times the frequency, and calculated this is the dimension of meters per second that way. No, 4. And this is a conceptual contradiction to the energy in. So the energy in quantum mechanics is conceptual, not matching the energy levels in classical mechanic or in general relativity. So here we have missing the concept of power, in Klammern watt, would be this dimension in 12-dimensional theory of everything matrix Decoded. And the idea of Planck and Einstein leaves us with something without dimension in relation to the square of second, so the square of time. And this is not defined, though this represents correct it is in matrix Decoded. The energy for the photon is the Planck's constant times F is not the energy. There is no energy. There is 1 per mass per kilogram is h times F, and then the Planck's constant becomes of dimension second to 4 and meter to 4. So h times the dimension of the elementary charge or charge in general is second to the square and meter to the square, and this adds up with the Planck's constant to the power. And so the new in the new world model, energy in total of universe is O, and there's only a certain energy or potential at a given time. So it is about always a balance of forces. So the ideal balance is a half radius to a half radius. And so, and if there is a wave, something like that, you have a short-term time of there is more an input. So if you see this as action and reaction, and you have an input when there is a force or an action within that, maybe it's you can see it as decision or acting of you, or the decision of acting of nature. So relation between yourself and nature, or yourself and God within your brain or perception. Then there is a short moment where it comes a potential where you can decide or within you there is always a potential to decide. So the energy can go up and down, and it's an open system in general, the global system. So this short video was to explain to you why we have all this struggle and war today, because our language, mathematics and physics we use is war, and we must use to have peace. We can do so.